Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to beautiful Chiang Mai. So some of you have told me that you're not ready to retire, but you want to come over here. And you asked specifically about teaching. Can I be a teacher over there? Well, if that is you, I have something special for you. Today, I'm going to interview a teacher. I asked some of those questions about the difference between teaching in the Western countries and teaching here in Thailand, as well as what kind of pay are we looking at. Let's go do this. Once again, welcome back to the channel. So, Robert, if you go back and look at my Big C video.
Yes, the Big C video.
Yes, first time I met you. And he came around the corner, he said, "Are you far away, Fred?" And that's when I got my first stalker. No, I'm just joking.
It was in the soap section. I remember. Yeah, I remember it well.
No, but you know, we met there, and then we've had coffee a few times since then.
We have.
And one of the things I was interested in, because when you told me you were a teacher, and lately I've been having people reach out to me, wanting to know that, saying, "Hey, you know, I want to come to Chiang Mai. I'm not ready to retire, but I would like to teach."
Yeah.
And so, but let's back up before we get into what you do here now.
Right.
When you were back in Australia, what did you do before teaching? Did you have did you leave high school, go straight to college?
Before teaching, well, I did a business degree, and I mean, like a lot of high school kids, we don't really know what we want to do in life, and you know, Mum and Dad said to do business, so I went and studied a business degree, and I worked in sales and marketing for some time, but when my daughter was born, I don't know, it's kind of at that time I started thinking about teaching. And I had been to Thailand before, way back in my teens. Should I talk about that?
Yeah, what year are you talking about when you say you've been to Thailand?
Okay.
Was this in the 80s or 90s?
Yeah, 1988, everyone. I was an AFS exchange student to Thailand down in Chonburi province, and I was there for a year. I had my 18th birthday here.
Oh, wow.
I went to a Thai government school of 3,000 students. So I had the normal Thai uniform, the white shirt, the black pants, with my name and number emblazoned on my on my top, and that's where I kind of started my connection in Thailand, and that's actually where I met my wife.
Okay.
Yeah, she was in my Matayom 6 class.
And this is a senior in high school.
Yeah, senior year high school.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I had already graduated from Australia, but luckily I was still young enough to be able to come as an exchange student. Not that much studying got done. It was just like, yeah, okay, you're the white kid, off you go sit. All right. And that's how I met Oratai. She and I were in the same class, and we used to sit back at the back of mathematics classes and not really pay attention to the teacher and doodle on in our school books, and away you go.
No, that's awesome.
Yeah, I actually proposed to her in New York, but that's another story.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how long did you go back and forth to Thailand besides you guys decided to make it your home?
Well, so 1988, I graduated, I finished the year program here, went back to Australia, did my degree, worked there for a couple of years. In the meantime, Oratai had gone to the US to study English for a while and stay with some relatives with hers in New York, and I went to see her. And I then moved back to Thailand, say the mid-90s, and I did a couple of jobs. One was teaching English, which is a kind of the meat and potato job, I guess, for earning money if you're a foreigner. I did work at the Australian Embassy for a little while. I had a job there in the Australian Education Office, trying to convince Thai students to come and study in Australia instead of the US or the UK. And then I worked for a private school doing student recruitment for a while, and then kind of like the mid-90s, the financial crisis in Thailand came along. We were buying a house and that didn't go through, and we were living in Bangkok, and my wife was actually working at the time as a air hostess for Thai International, which is very good. And we were kind of thinking, well, and then we got married in Bangkok, and then we thought, well, we didn't really have much experience at Thailand. We'd only lived in Bangkok. I mean, it's a shame that back then we didn't actually move up to Chiang Mai to enjoy life here.
Right.
But we got married and we thought, oh, well, it's probably best to have kids back in Australia. So we went back there, but 15 years of chasing our tail, we were just going nowhere financially. And by that time, I had decided to retrain as a teacher. And there are a lot of international schools here in Thailand, so we kind of put two and two together and thought, well, let's move back. So in 2014 we came back, this time with two kids in tow, and we've been here ever since.
Okay, so 2014, you've been here since 2014 in Chiang Mai.
On this, actually no, 2014 I came back to start working here at an international school.
Okay.
Then COVID came along and my position was cut. We went to Taiwan for 2 years, and we've only really just come back from that.
Okay.
A teaching job at an international school there. I mean, Taiwan was fun, but I think Thailand really is our home.
Yeah.
So that's why we're back.
So how did you choose Chiang Mai specifically?
Well, we had been up to Chiang Mai before as a family and really kind of enjoyed it's a lovely, relaxed atmosphere. It's very green. You go half an hour out of town and there's rice fields and what have you, and there are international schools here and a lovely cafe lifestyle and what have you. And out of all the places I lived in Bangkok. We had lived, I was teaching at another school just out of Rayong province near Pattaya, and I think out of all the places we'd been, we just kind of felt that Chiang Mai was just a good fit for us. I mean, I very much enjoy the mountains and really like to be in the green space, and we're going hiking on Wednesday and stuff like that, so it's just a lovely place to be, I think.
Right. I think that kind of answered my next question about what do you like as far as your space here. A lot of people, they come here as tourists, they spend a lot of time in the city, or they go to the elephant sanctuary, they come back out, but there's so much more of Chiang Mai than just that city area and stuff like that. So you're pretty much into the nature part of it, right?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm teaching full-time at the moment at an international school here in Chiang Mai. So when I do have time, we do try and get out of town a bit. Luckily, I'm on school holiday at the moment, so we're kind of catching up on all the things we haven't been doing for quite some time. So that takes a bit of time up. But sorry, what was the question again?
No, so as far as what you do when you're not teaching. Yeah, I know you mentioned hiking that you're going on Wednesday, and you mentioned something you thought that would probably be boring, but you mentioned
Well, working full time, and I'm here with my two kids as well, and Oratai, my wife as well too. Thomas is 15, he's in high school. Annabella's graduated from high school and she's actually teaching at a school locally. So they kind of take up a lot of my time. So most of my free time during school term is spent exploring all the cafes in Chiang Mai and just sitting and reading the Bangkok Post and finding out all the amazing things about Thai society and what's going on and what have you. And I really enjoy that kind of current affairs.
No, and it's good to keep up to date with that. And that's one of the things you mentioned, the cafes here, and I probably can do just YouTube videos on the cafes here and be busy for 3 or 4 years if I wanted to. But and that's one of the things that I'm going to talk about in future videos is how you go for a cup of coffee. It's not just a cup of coffee; it's an experience.
It's an experience.
It really is for everything around.
Yeah.
But I'm going to circle back around to the teaching part of it and kind of specifically. So in the United States, we have so many different types of school. You have what's called a charter school. You have private, maybe religious schools that you have, and then you have probably the biggest is going to be the public school system. How is it here in Thailand as far as how the school systems are set up?
Okay, well, I've worked primarily in the international school system. There are a lot of international schools in Thailand. Why that is, I'm not really sure. It just seems per capita that Thailand has a lot of international schools. I don't know. It may be that Thai parents who do have money will decide to give their kids an international education rather than the Thai system, because unfortunately it's I think the Thai system kind of struggles a bit. They with maths and reading results on the PSA test they have every 4 years, they tend to struggle a bit. So a lot of schools in Thailand being international. I mean, if you have a Thai kid and you put them in the international system, their qualifications, either IGCSE or A levels or whatever it is they graduate with, will guarantee them a place in universities in Thailand as well. So I've been working in international schools. There is generally 3 types of international school. There's a US international school system. The school I teach is US. There's British international schools, and then there's IB, International Baccalaureate international schools. The school in Taiwan I taught in was an IB school. The thing is, virtually all the main provinces have international schools in them. Just thinking of Chiang Mai alone, there's at least six international schools. So, and another thing too, Chiang Mai, we're quite close to China.
Mm-hmm.
Now, there are a lot of parents, Chinese parents, who bring their kids over here to study at international schools, because international education in China is horrendously expensive, and given the cost of living here, a lot of Chinese parents just pull up their kids and move over.
Yeah.
The school I'm at, I think about 40% of the school population is Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I'm digressing a bit. What was
That's
the...
okay. No, I want to know about the school system. So you have the international school system, and then is there a public school system?
Oh, yeah. Okay, so there's a public school system.
Mm-hmm.
When I was an exchange student, I was in one of those. It was a government state-run school. There are opportunities to work in the state system.
Mm-hmm.
For example, my daughter, she did a TEFL course, teaching English as a foreign language, not long after graduating from here in Thailand from her international school, and she's teaching at a Thai private school downtown. They also have private Catholic schools as well too. Yeah, but that I don't really have much experience of, by the way. But there are, depending on where you teach, there are very big differences in salary levels from school to school.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but if a person wants to come over and teach at an international school, they probably want to apply while they're still in their own country. What do you think?
Yeah. It's probably best to apply while you're still overseas.
Okay.
Obviously, the higher the salary level, the more expectation is of your qualifications and certification and what have you. If you're coming over and it's kind of I just like to try teaching because I've got a bit of a shortfall in my budget. There are many places in Chiang Mai that'll do TEFL courses, teaching English as a foreign language.
Right.
They usually cost. They're a month course, full time. They usually cost between 30 and 40,000 baht.
Okay.
And some of those institutes, let's call them, will actually do a job placement for you. So, for example, my daughter Annabelle, she did a course for a month, and they lined her up for a job at a Thai private school downtown.
Okay.
Yeah. So that would be, if you want to kind of just give it a try and see how it, whether it's for you, it's a kind of a low cost way to getting into teaching.
Right, and they will also do your work visa. Is that correct?
Yes,
Okay.
they would also do your work visa. Now my kids have Thai citizenship. So
I'm gonna get into that a little later. Yes.
I'm very jealous. Very jealous.
Now, what about the pay? So,
Okay.
at international school, I mean, if you go in, say you have a bachelor's degree in English, and you have 5 or 10 years teaching, what kind of salary? And I know, here's the thing: it's not going to be the salary you make in the United States. It's a lower cost of living country.
Yeah.
But what do you think an average would be, our ballpark?
Average salary would be around, if you have a proper qualification and you've got your certification from the US or Australia or UK, whatever, you would probably, and a couple of years experience, you'd probably start on around about 70 or 80,000 baht a month.
Okay.
Some schools you will have the opportunity to get flights and flights home. Sometimes they will throw in an allowance for your accommodation.
Oh wow!
Also for medical insurance as well. So you can go. I know one school in Bangkok. The salary is like insane. It's like 175,000 baht a month. You get flights home every year for you and your spouse and your kids. You get free accommodation. You get medical. If you have a dog that you're bringing in from overseas, they'll probably pay for that as well too. So that's a very top tier.
And those are probably very competitive
very
positions.
Competitive,
yeah.
very competitive. Whereas more kind of mid-level type of schools would pay around 80 to 100,000 baht a month, I would say, around about there.
Well, and I'll say, when I did my cost of living budget, I bring over about 2,000 US a month. I transfer over for my monthly expenses.
Yeah.
And that's about 74,000 baht. So that's not bad, especially living
here. You
here.
can live pretty well in Chiang Mai for that.
Yes, especially if you're a single person, you can live really well or something like that.
Yeah.
No, that's really good to know. What about the school year itself? Is it year-round school, or is there a summer break like in the United States? They have like from June through August off. How does it work there?
So I'm on break at the moment. So the international school system will follow the Northern Hemisphere.
Oh, okay.
So you'll have holidays at Christmas time, Easter, the big summer break, the middle of the year, probably. What's that? Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's Australian. I got no idea. Whereas the Thai system, no, it's not like that at all. The school year starts the beginning of May, at the end of kind of the Songkran period, the hot summer month. That would go through until October, where you get a week's break. Then, although they don't celebrate Christmas, they celebrate New Year's, so you get a couple of days off there. And then you would have the big 6-week break during April. Now, in Thailand, there are a lot of public holidays, so kind of sprinkled all over the place. Either religious type of holidays or holidays to do with, the birth of the king or what have you. So it's a very different timetable. So I would imagine, there was one situation where my son was working in an international school, and I did consider maybe working for a Thai system school, but being on those two different timetables as a family just wouldn't have worked. And my wife too, she's a teacher's aide.
Okay.
Yeah. So usually, if you're coming overseas with your spouse, they'll find a job for you somewhere to do something.
Yeah.
It's either covering books in the library or, if you have a qualification, like Cora Thai does, she's got a teacher's aide job, so they'll find something for you.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's good to know.
Yeah.
That's good to know. So, overall, how many years you would say you've been teaching here in Thailand?
Teaching?
Uh-huh.
Oh, gosh, about at least 10, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when all is said and done, when you decide to hang it up, do you have any plans in retirement to just enjoy your time?
Yeah. Well, I think we'll definitely stay in Chiang Mai. I haven't been back to Australia since 2014, and from what I see on YouTube, it's just horrendously expensive, and there's no way I could afford any type of lifestyle similar to what we have here in Chiang Mai. And my wife, her family are here. I've spent a decent time studying the language, so that barrier is kind of pushed to the side. So I can't really. I think this is now home for us.
Right.
We're actually looking at buying a house too.
Okay. Right now Robert is being kind of humble. I've sat with him and watched as he's ordered coffee and food in Thai, and I'm ashamed of myself. So I have to start learning the language, and I will. Now this is what I've been wanting to get to. So we sit and we have coffee and we talk, and one of the things that we discussed was that so everyone in your family is a Thai citizen except you, right?
Here we go. Oh man, this really. Okay.
So once you're born here, you automatically become a Thai citizen? Is that if you?
No, if your mother or father are Thai, you can apply for Thai citizenship. So both my kids, God bless them, were born in Australia. And when we were working in Rayong province back in 2016, 2017, around that time, they applied for Thai citizenship and they got their blue Thai citizenship cards. Oh, by the way, I got a foreigner Thai citizenship card. It's pink, but it doesn't help. Oh, you can use it as ID if you're going on a domestic flight, so you don't have to carry your passport.
Okay.
So anyway, they have Thai citizenship, and when we came back from Taiwan into Chiang Mai, we organised passports for both of them, and because they'd come into the country under their Australian passports, they then had to leave the country on their Australian passport and then come back in on their Thai passport.
Okay, I see.
Which just meant doing a border run up to Laos and jumping the fence and coming back in.
Yeah.
So at the moment, the Lao police are probably going all around Laos looking for where are those two Australian kids? And it's all perfectly legal. We
Right.
checked it with immigration. So so they're now Thai citizens, which means they can own property. They can stand for election in government. They can work for the military. They can do all these things that I can't do.
Well, and you speak better Thai than your kids do, right?
I speak better Thai than my rotten kids.
Yeah, I really wanted to share that story. That's great.
Yeah.
So I would say no regrets as far as being a teacher here. You've enjoyed your time overall.
Well, I kind of regret not coming back earlier. I should
Yeah.
have seen the writing on the wall earlier that Australia, we were just going nowhere. And I think if we moved here when Annabelle was going into grade 7 and Thomas was going into grade 3, round about then.
Mm-hmm.
And I think if we moved here earlier, they would have had the opportunity to improve their Thai language
Yeah.
a lot more. But anyway,
Yeah.
I only started learning Thai when I was 17, so.
Oh wow.
But I had a big motivation too, because there was a particular young lady at school that I was very interested in.
It's amazing what motivates us, right? Well, I want to thank you for taking the time to do this interview, and I really hope that those of you watching and you're thinking about coming over here teaching, that kind of gives you some insight. Some of the things I've gotten from this interview is that, especially for the international schools, you may want to start your application process, contact whatever school you're interested in while you're in your country. But if you get over here and maybe you are retired and you get a little bored and say, hey, maybe I want to go teach, and maybe you can switch from a retirement visa to a work visa or something like that, So there are some options for you. But thanks again for watching. Thank you for coming on.
All right.
We learned something, and I love you, and I will see you in the next one.
สวัสดีครับ